So, how is everyone? I hope you're all well. So, another Jane Doe has come forward. If you haven't seen it yet, if you haven't heard what it's all about, head over to the Chronicles of Olivia. She has done a live stream. She has also done a nice little edited video around 15 minutes long, so you can get the gist of it. You can hear I think it's a girl, even though they've masked her voice, so she sounds a little bit like Jodie Sue Brown. It's a girl. It's a girl who attended this party. And she has indeed said, look, Kiely did attend this party. She saw her there. She didn't see her there with Sammy. It doesn't look like she saw her a massive amount of time. But she did see her, and she has said, look, she was intoxicated. She was talking slowly. She was struggling to walk. And there we have it. Now, can we say that that is 100% fact? We can't say it's 100% fact. We can only say that it's 100% that somebody from somewhere has come forward and said it's a fact. So at this stage, in that sense, we're no real further forward because that's what we'd already heard. We could have got that information from social media before this interview. Now, there is some clarity. Some people believed, including myself, that it was Sammy who was involved in setting up this party, which kind of would have made sense as to why Sammy had put herself at the forefront of the search efforts, etc., etc., if she had been the one to have organised the party. Because I thought to myself, well, if you've organised it, you've dealt with everything, it's your baby, so to speak, and something happens at that, then you would probably want something to do with it. But no, we have been told that it was actually set up by 3 boys. One of them from Truckee and 2 of them from nearby places, but not Truckee. Again, for full information on that, Chronicles of Olivia. But look, so these 3 lads had set up this party. One of them didn't actually, it would appear, he didn't actually go in the end. He didn't turn up. So look, not that that's important. That's just a side note, not a bullet point. He didn't go. But, so look, Kiely's at this party, apparently. She's drunk, she's intoxicated, she's struggling to walk. The party, there was reference made that there was people who was unhappy that the music had gone off. And this coincides with what Elsa had said about the generator being pulled at around 12:15. Elsa had also mentioned that the road had been blocked. So that seems to be a corroborated story. The music had gone off by around 12:15, perhaps just before when all the generator and that was pulled. And there was a question that we had about when Sammy had said that she had spoken to Kiely on the phone, that she could still hear people in the background. She could hear music, she could hear, in her words, she could still hear the party. Kiely was at the party still. She had, and look, what I'm going to say is here, what Jane Doe says kind of supports what Sammy's version of events are, and how Sammy may have potentially believed that the party was still going and Kiely was there. So it might just be that Sammy was just a shit friend and she didn't have anything to do with what happened to Kiely. And I know, look, I've also thought that this Jane Doe might have been Sammy pretending to be someone else to kind of dot the I's and cross the T's on her escape plan. I've thought it, and I'm sure some of you have as well. But I'm sure Chronicles of Olivia, she's done her due diligence. She's likely to know exactly who this person is, and she's just protecting the identity of this person. So, it's just, I don't want to go down that route too much. But anyway, look, so let's back up. So Kiely's at this party. She goes to her car. She tells Jane Doe that she's got a lift. She tells her she's got a lift. But then why does Sammy tells us that Kiely didn't have a lift when she spoke to her at 12:36 a.m.? So there is a little bit of a, how can we say, something's gone wrong there. There's a fracture in the story there where Jane Doe, as far as she was aware, Kiely had a lift. Kiely must have told her that she had a lift. And the only thing that would make that make sense would be if Kiely was led to believe that she had a lift with Sammy. And was that call, and what was said on that call, Kiely chasing Sammy to get her lift? And Sammy had turned around and said, I'm already left, mate. I'm already left. You're a clever girl, sort it out. And that's what I mean by perhaps Sammy didn't have anything directly to do with it, but she was just a shit friend. As far as Kiely knew, she was going home with Sammy, and Sammy dropped her on her ass. That's potentially why we're seeing a lot of the strange behaviour that we're seeing with Sammy. Perhaps what we've recently heard between Sammy and Jagger, which I don't want to go into too much, but perhaps there's some guilt there. Perhaps these two teenagers share some guilt, and these things happen. But so the road was blocked off, which we've heard. Again, we said Elsa had already said that the road had been blocked off that would have led to getting out of there. Now, that seems to have been quite rowdy at some point. This Jane Doe mentions that there was music in the car, there was a subwoofer in the car. It was getting quite aggressive on there. I'm guessing whether people were trying to leave and couldn't. Someone was standing on the car. But this was quite a noisy scene. And I'm guessing that at 12:36, Kiely was in earshot of this. And this is what was heard over the phone. Now, what Jane Doe is saying is that no car passed her as she walked out of that area to her friend's car who was giving her a lift. Nothing passed her. And Elsa had already said that. She'd already said that she hadn't seen any cars leave. She'd seen no lights or anything from when Kiely had gone down to her vehicle. So look, Kiely at this stage would have known that that road was blocked, I would imagine. If she's been within earshot of what was going there and it's that rowdy and there's that congregation in the road, now that could have forced Kiely to go the other way. But then, like what has now been corroborated again with this Jane Doe, is that then the navigation across this road down to the water's edge in that vehicle while Kiely is intoxicated. And let's not forget, Kiely is not an experienced driver. She is a new driver. She is intoxicated. And Jane Doe had stated that it was just a few days or weeks earlier that a guy, who I'm guessing was a bit more of an experienced driver perhaps, he had ended up stuffing his car up down there. It's not an easy road. And you heard, I was told directly by someone who went to do that trial themselves to see whether they could get down there. They said exactly the same thing. Would Kiely have been able to navigate that road in her car and get down to the water and end up where she was eventually found? And that's for us to only speculate over. But it is something that causes us to think that perhaps she didn't, or perhaps someone else did. Now, what else do we know? We don't really know a lot else. Now, Jane Doe has said that she feels that Kiely could have, or what Chronicles of Olivia is saying is that it would appear that Kiely was alive up to 1 o'clock. That's not necessarily the case. All that this person is saying is she saw no car leave. But why would she see any car leave if the road was blocked? She wouldn't have been able to see any car leave because they wouldn't have been able to go that way. So Kiely would have either stayed put where she was, she would have got up to that roadblock and been forced to go the other way. Well, they are really the two options. Or she would have been mingling with these people. Now, it would appear that the numbers come down somewhat. This Jane Doe has said that there was around 200 people at the party, and they did come from further afield as well, specifically these places that these three boys who set up the party come from. So look, 200 people, that would bring the number of cars down somewhat. You can probably get 4 or 5 people in a car. So, look, we're not looking at 400 cars, are we? We're probably looking at between 80, 90 cars, perhaps, that could bring in, not even that. You could 50 cars. And that would coincide with the couple who are on the campground saying there was around 50 to 60 cars. So, look, everything's kind of starting to make a bit more sense. So we know we can pretty much say, look, there was a party, but there wasn't as many people there as like 400 people. There was around 200 people, some local, some from nearby places, and Kiely was heading towards her car at around 12:36 a.m., just shortly after the generator had been shut down. And it's kind of from that, I'd say 12:30 till 1 o'clock, that would sort of seal what was going to happen to Kiely. Now, the tow truck situation still remains the pivotal point in this. It does. Now, if that was definitely Kiely's vehicle, then we have ourselves a situation of foul play, without a doubt. Without a doubt, that would be foul play if that was her vehicle. Now, I would go as far as to saying, look, if that wasn't, and if law enforcement, like as of filming this, there has been no release of any information, but if law enforcement come forward and say that that was not Kiely's vehicle, that was someone else, and they can show who it was and they prove who it was, whatever, because you can bet your bollocks to a barn dance if they come out and say it wasn't Kiely's, but that's all they say, and we know whose it is, there's still going to be the skeptical ones out there who would question as to whether that's honest. I'm kind of there myself, and only because of law enforcement. But yeah, so if that's not her vehicle, then you could almost say that this could indeed be an accident. But my question then is, why would Kiely have decided to drive? Now, Jane Doe even goes on to say, look, it's not uncommon for people who are too intoxicated to drive to stay there. You know, they could have indeed stayed there. Now, did Kiely stay there? Was she too intoxicated to drive? She was a smart girl. We've heard this. Her mum has also said that she wouldn't drink drive. Now, did she go back to her vehicle? She saw the road had been blocked, and she decided that she would stay in her vehicle. Did she decide that the best and safest place to do that was in the back hatch? And then did somebody or some people from this group who were becoming aggressive and becoming rowdy find Kiely's vehicle? Did they not see that Kiely was in the back of that vehicle, and for a joke decide to push that vehicle down into the reservoir? You tell me. They might have found a car and drove it. I'm spitballing. At the moment, complete speculation. We don't know anything. Like I say, this Jane Doe's come forward. She shed some light on some things and made a few things seem a little bit more sense. But again, much of it we kind of already knew. So this is just reinforcing some of the things that we knew. But I'd like to know where you guys are still now. Are you now drawn more towards that it could be an accident? And it's concrete, and maybe you'd already made your decision that it was an accident? Or are you still in camp of foul play? And do you feel that foul play was more than likely coming from this group who were involved in the blocking of that exit road? Let me know, and I'll catch you all later today.